Well, buen Camino. I am Jeremiah Gibbs. I'm the Camino Guide, and today I'm here to tell you about the best pilgrim guidebook that I have found for Camino de Santiago. I hope that you will find this valuable. If you do, go ahead and click like on this video. That will help other people find the video, and I certainly appreciate your love there. First, I want to say right before I begin that this video is not sponsored by the Wise Pilgrim app, which I'm going to be presenting to you as my best and favorite guidebook. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get anything from them for making this. So just wanted to say that up front for you. So before I get into describing the Wise Pilgrim app, I'm going to give you a chance to see some of it and so on before you might make a purchase on it. Before I do that, I just want to say that there are plenty of alternatives to this. I probably have had about 20 applications, iPhone applications for Camino. Some of them have been very good and helpful. And certainly there are some paper alternatives. By far the best known one is John Brierley's Pilgrim Guide. There's good reasons that folks may choose that they would want a paper guide rather than one of these applications, these phone applications, and I'm not going to argue about the virtue of that. I would say a couple of the reasons that I prefer an iPhone application or an Android application is, first of all, I'm already going to have my phone with me, so it's not going to add any weight, which I think is important. I don't want to add any more weight than I have to. The other thing is that some of these applications are updated more frequently than the Brierley book, just because it has to go to publication and so on. So that's not true of all of them. I think for the most part, the application that I'm going to be describing, the Wise Pilgrim app, is updated pretty frequently, so I think you'll find that it's pretty helpful in that regard. If you are somebody who really likes the Brierley paper guidebook, that popular guidebook, would you just leave a comment down below so that and tell us why you really like that app, and that will help those who might be coming on there and to have reasons why they might want to try that Brierley guide as well. So first of all, I want to say that the Wise Pilgrim app is available for pretty much every route on the Camino, but you do have to buy the application separately. So each route of the Camino de Santiago is a separate Wise Pilgrim app. I only have the Camino Frances, and I think I have one other one, but I have used this primarily for Camino Frances. My understanding is that it works the same on all of those routes, and so you should be able to have a very similar experience across the different routes. But I'm going to just go ahead and go into the Wise Pilgrim app here. I will say, let me just go back for just a moment. You'll see that I have some other Pilgrim apps still on here. The only one that I really use besides Wise Pilgrim, and it's actually not a great app, but one thing it does really well is this one here in the top left corner that just says Camino and has the shell on there. That one has really excellent elevation guides. I can go ahead and click into there. It has really excellent elevation guides on each day. So these has the different stages, and their elevation maps I think are excellent. They give information about elevation change, increase and decrease, and so on. So that's the only other one that I use, and I forget that one may be a free app. It's not very expensive if it isn't free. But the one I'm going to use primarily is this red one that says Frances at the bottom. That's the Wise Pilgrim app, and as I said, those are available for every route. This is the Camino Frances app. Now, when you open up the app, the first thing that you're going to come to is this page with all the different regions, and this is going to be the kind of the primary navigation page within this application. I'll show you some of the other pages in a moment, but we're going to really start and spend most of our time here in this page. So if I click into, I clicked into the Saint Jean, the Navarre region where Saint Jean is. There's going to be some kind of typical guidance for a guidebook that's going to be contained in here. You'll notice here in the first one, it gives you information about the two routes that are available for you for that day, and it usually locates that information at about where the intersection is, where it would go into two different passes. And so you'll see some information there about that. You'll see, for example, the big red block is going to give you some information that might keep you safe and so on. So there's going to be some information that's available right on the surface of a town. But most of the information is going to be available to us when we actually click on that town. I'm going to click into St. John, and you'll see across the top of there's a whole bunch of different symbols, icons across the top that tell us some of the different things that are going to be available in that town. So to the left, we see a room for albergues, or the bunk beds, and the single bed tells you that you can get rooms. There's information about pharmacy and hospital and food and groceries and ATMs and buses and trains and so on. Are those different icons that are going to be available, and each town will have a different set of icons according to what's available in that town. You'll see as we go down from there, you're going to see information about the town, some of the landmarks, some of the information that's going to be sort of, you might say, touristy information as well. And as well as this green box down at the bottom is going to give us information about festivals and sort of celebrations and things like that. In this case, they're talking about a market day. So there's some information that's available on the town. As you go down to the bottom, you're going to see probably the thing that you're going to use this for the most, which is our accommodation. Now, if we were to click into any one of those, it's going to list all of them. You'll see that M is for municipal alberga, P is for privately owned albergas, and then we have pensions and hostels and so on, various different options for how you would what kind of accommodations those are. You can see some of the amenities across the bottom that are available in those various routes too. I'm just going to go ahead and click into one of those. And you'll see, first of all, a picture of the front of it. Not all of them have a picture of the front, but many of them have a picture of the front alberga, so you can easily identify it when you get there. Information about how many beds are available, the cost of it, what time they open and close if they do. There's some phone numbers, emails. Oftentimes, as this one does, you may have Facebook and website information. This particular alberga has no comments, but frequently, and in fact, I could submit a comment there. Frequently, maybe one of these other ones will have a comment I can show you. I don't see any right now, but so that some of them will have information that will tell you whether this is a really clean alberga, this is the host wasn't very kind, those kind of comments that have been left by other pilgrims in there as well. Probably the thing that I love the most about this app over other apps that I've used is, of course, all the listing of accommodations is down at the below, but in many of the towns, you'll also see this button for Booking.com. That's incredible, because if I click here, especially for me as a trip leader, I have to make reservations for large groups. This is actually, it's not going to work as long as I'm in airplane mode. But if I click over to that, it will go over to the Booking.com website, and I can immediately begin making reservations on Booking.com's website only to Saint Jean Pied de Port. So that's incredibly valuable for those of us that have to make reservations. I make them because I'm leading trips. You may have other reasons that you want to make reservations, and having those Booking.com resources just built right into the app is incredible. Now, a couple of things that I passed over too quickly as we were on this screen is some of the navigation that's available right in the screen. Now, the first thing that you can do is if you hold a town, any of the towns, it will allow you to identify a starting point. I'm going to go ahead and click that as my starting point so you can see some of the other features begin to work. You'll notice that the green box just at the top of the town to the left of the name of the town is the number of kilometers to the next town from there. So it's 5.2 kilometers to Honto from St. Jean. And then you'll notice from Honto to Orison, the next one is going to be 2.3 kilometers. So as you go down through the towns, it's going to give you a distance from one town to the next town. The gray distance, but just at the bottom there, is going to be the number of kilometers from the town that you've identified as a starting point. So if I say, okay, Orison right now is going to be 7.5 kilometers from St. Jean, which I identified as the starting point. I find that incredibly helpful when I'm out on the trail on the way to be able to identify how far is it from a particular location. The other way that this can be really valuable is if we were to go down. So for example, if I were to identify the town that I want to go to, in this case I'm going to identify Pamplona as my ending spot for that day, and you'll see it now becomes the 0 in the green box. Now if I go back and let's say that I've started that day back here in Zubiri, you can see that it says minus 20.6 kilometers. So oftentimes in the app, I identify my starting point as the place that I will end that day, and then it will tell me how many kilometers I have left from where I am at any particular location. Now, the last thing to say, and I'm going to go back to St. Jean actually, so because it's going to be a busy town in the app, and it's going to show you something. If you see at the upper right-hand corner, you'll see this little map icon at the very top right, and I'm going to go ahead and push that map icon, and it's going to take me over to the map of St. Jean-Pied-de-Port. Now, you can actually download the maps into your phone, and then this app will run entirely. All of it, except for the Booking.com reservations, will operate without internet access. So if you don't have data, then you can use everything except for that click out to Booking.com. Everything else will operate right here in the app, and that's incredibly valuable. That's actually an update. So those of you that might have had this app before, they didn't have downloadable maps before, so you needed data to use the map feature. Now that's available. So when you click on the map, for them, this is St. Jean. You can see the green line is where most of the Camino goes. The red line is alternative routes. But you can see some of the different stores and so on that are available in that town. And then if you see the icons, the P and the M and the H, those are accommodation icons. I can click on any one of those and go directly to that hostel. That's particularly helpful when you're coming into a town to see exactly where that albergue, maybe you've made a reservation or you have a certain place you really like to go in that town. When you come into town, you will be able to see exactly where it's located by looking at the map and seeing, especially for ones like this that are off the route. You probably couldn't see where I tapped, but some of these albergues that are off the route, it can be really helpful to be able to see where those are and where you are in relation to them on the map as well. So this is incredibly valuable. You can see if I begin to zoom out, you can see the entirety of the route as well, and these have various distances according, you'll see in this distance, this screen, the number to the left on each town is how far we are from our starting point, the part that we've identified as a starting point. The number to the right, in parentheses, in brackets, is the number of kilometers to St. Jean from that town. So, if you were actually in Spain right now, you would also see a blue dot, just like you do on other mapping apps. You would see a blue dot on there that identifies where you are. You'll notice I have this currently in the downloaded maps section, so there are some things that don't show up clearly on the map as far as you can't see some of the road features and things like that because it's only the downloaded app. If you use the data, you do get a little bit more information on the map when you're using the map in an online mode. But The other thing to say real quickly from this is, if you see, now that I'm in the map, on the upper right hand corner, you'll see that little compass icon where the map icon was before. Now that I'm in the map, if I push that, and I'm about to do so, it's going to take me completely off Camino, and it's going to show you where I am right now, because I'm here in Indianapolis using that. But you can see the blue dot is identifying where my GPS is. So you can see that's an incredibly valuable mapping tool. And it's also going to be really good information when you're actually in the various towns as well. The last thing that I'll show you, if I go back to the beginning of the app, back to this home screen, if you will, for the main body of the app, if you hit to this top left, the 3 lines there, you'll see some other blocks that are available in the Wise Pilgrim app. You can click on this Where to Sleep button, and it will just give you a straight list of albergues. I don't find this particularly helpful, but that might be better for you. You can see the name of the town where those places are, and you can click in and get the same information that we had before from using the regions guide, just organized a little differently with albergues only. You can also then go into your elevation profile. If you have that in portrait mode, as I do now, then you can see kind of a detailed of your elevation changes throughout the day with the names of the towns. You can see at the bottom it has whether that's a town that has, you know, drinks and albergues, hostels. You can see the number of kilometers between locations and so on. If you're mapping yourself out according to your elevation changes, then this becomes particularly valuable. And then if I switch that into landscape mode, I can see quite a bit more distance and detail on that as well. I'm going to go back to portrait mode, which has a detail elevation map, so that I can click over here, and you can see here where I'm able to download the maps. It also has a legend so that I can interpret the map features, and then some other things that Wise Pilgrim sells down here at the bottom as well. So I find this an incredibly valuable application. It's been useful for me on multiple Caminos now, and particularly as I'm planning those trips for other persons. If you find this information helpful, then please give this video a like. That'll help other people be able to find the videos. And then if you like this kind of content, then please subscribe to this channel. I make videos about equipment and gear reviews. I make videos about kind of motivations and theology of Camino de Santiago. And I also make videos about the kind of logistics of planning and so on. And I hope that I can be helpful to you with any of that. So subscribe to this channel, and buen camino.